Level 1. The human asset. You saw the ad on Facebook. Customer service representative in Mae Sot, Thailand. $3,000 a month, housing included, no experience necessary. You're 22, your degree in accounting from a provincial university in Vietnam or Indonesia is gathering dust, and your family is drowning in debt. You take the flight. You meet a man at the airport who smiles and takes your passport. For the visa processing, he puts you in a van with 4 others. You drive for 6 hours. You don't see a beach. You see the Moe River. You're told to walk across a shallow point at night. On the other side is Myanmar, a lawless stretch of jungle controlled by a border guard force that answers to no one but the money. You arrive at a compound surrounded by 10-foot concrete walls topped with electrified razor wire. Armed men in mismatched fatigues watch from towers. They hand you a cheap smartphone and a script. Your passport is gone. Your debt for travel and recruitment is now $10,000. You realize the customer service job doesn't exist. You are now a captive. You are the bottom of the food chain. Your job is to stay awake for 16 hours a day and find the first hello. Level 2. The ghost. You've been in the compound for 3 months. You sleep in a room with 12 other men on thin mats. The air smells like stale cigarettes and cheap instant noodles. You are no longer a person, you are a persona. Today, you are Chloe, a 28-year-old high-end fashion designer living in Singapore. Your profile pictures are stolen from a minor influencer in Taiwan. You spend your morning on dating apps and WhatsApp, sending wrong number texts to thousands of people in the US, Europe, and Australia. Is this David? We met at the golf club last week. Most ignore you. Some curse at you. But then one person responds, "No, sorry, wrong number." That's the hook. You follow the script. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I must have typed it wrong." You seem like a kind person though, since we've met by chance. I'm Chloe. You learn to mirror their life. If they're lonely, you're their best friend. If they're grieving, you're their shoulder to cry on. You spend weeks building trust. You send photos of your lunch, expensive sushi you've never tasted. You talk about your uncle who is a financial genius. You aren't asking for money yet. You're fattening the pig. If you don't generate at least 10 high-quality leads a week, you don't get dinner. If you try to tell a victim you're being held against your will, the monitors who walk the floor with tasers will see it on their master screen. You remember the kid from the bunk next to yours who tried to send his GPS coordinates to his family? You haven't seen him in 3 days. You keep typing. Level 3. The butcher. You've proven you have the soft touch. You've moved up from the initial contact floor to the slaughter department. You don't find the leads anymore. They are handed to you once they're hooked. You are the closer. Your job is to introduce the investment. You tell your victim, who thinks you're a beautiful woman in love with them, about a crypto trading platform your uncle uses. You send them a link to a professional-looking app. It's a fake, built by the organization's developers, but it looks real. You tell them to invest $500 just to try. You make sure the app shows they made a $100 profit in 10 minutes. You let them withdraw the money. Now they're hooked. They trust the system. They trust you. You push for more, $10,000. $50,000. You watch the numbers on your screen go up. You know the money isn't going into a market. It's going into a Tether wallet owned by the syndicate. When they try to withdraw their life savings, you tell them there's a tax or a verification fee of 20%. You bleed them until they have nothing left. Then you block them. You feel a twinge of guilt when a 65-year-old widower tells you he's selling his house to invest, but then you remember the dark room. You remember the sound of the cattle prod. You choose survival over a stranger's retirement. Level 4. The team lead. You run a pod of 20 ghosts and butchers. You're 26 now, and you've been in the zone for 2 years. You don't live in the barracks anymore. You have a small room with a door that locks. You're paid a commission on the total slaughter of your team. Last month, your pod brought in $1.2 million. You took home $5,000 of fortune back home, but worthless here because you can't leave. Your job is psychological management. You study the latest trends in Western finance to update the scripts. You monitor the chat logs. You see a butcher getting too friendly with a victim, maybe thinking about helping them. You pull him out of his chair and beat him in front of the others. You have to. If your pod's numbers drop, the compound manager will come for you. You're the one who decides who gets an extra hour of sleep and who gets the treatment. You've become an expert at identifying fat pigs doctors, lonely tech workers, people with accessible equity. You teach your butchers how to use AI voice deepfakes for short phone calls to keep the illusion alive. You're a middle manager in a factory of heartbreak. You tell yourself that once you hit $50,000 in savings, you'll buy your way out. But you know the price of freedom keeps rising. Level 5. The architect. You don't touch the victims. You don't even see the scamming floor. You work in a room with high-end servers and air conditioning. You are a developer. You build the fake trading platforms, the MetaTrader clones, and the malicious dApps. Your code creates the illusions of markets. You can manipulate the price of Bitcoin on the fake app with a single keystroke to show a victim a massive gain or a sudden margin call that requires more deposit. You also manage the cleaning of the crypto. As the USDT flows in from victims, you run it through a complex web of mixers and peel chains. You move the funds through decentralized exchanges, swapping between chains until the trail is cold. You've built an automated system that alerts you if a wallet address is flagged by Chainalysis. When a victim's bank blocks a transfer, you provide the butcher with a legitimate invoice for consulting services or jewelry sales to help the victim bypass the fraud department. You're a ghost in the machine. You know that if the feds ever raid a compound, you're the one they'll want most. You keep your bags packed and an encrypted laptop ready to be wiped with a single command. Level 6. The Compound Warden. You aren't a scammer, you're a professional. You're a former military officer from a neighboring country, or maybe a mercenary with connections to the local ethnic armed organization, EAO. You manage the physical security of the Special Economic Zone. You have 200 armed men under your command. Your job is to keep the assets in and the world out. You handle the local logistics. You pay the monthly protection tax to the regional warlord, $200,000 in cash, delivered in a gym bag. In exchange, the local military ensures no police or international NGOs get within 5 miles of the gate. You also manage the human supply chain. You deal with the travel agents in mainland China, Taiwan, and Malaysia who trick the kids into coming. When an asset tries to escape, your men hunt them down in the jungle. You don't kill them immediately. That's a waste of a resource. You bring them back and make sure their punishment is public. You've seen the videos of water dungeon punishments and shaming sessions that get leaked to keep the other workers in line. You don't care about the scams. To you, this is just a high-security industrial park. You're making enough to retire in a villa in the capital, provided you don't get on the wrong side of the dragon head. Level 7. The Stakeholder. You are a partner. You don't live in the jungle. You live in a luxury penthouse in Phnom Penh or Dubai. You own the lease on 3 buildings within the compound. You provided the initial seed capital, the $5 million for the servers, the satellite internet, the bribe funds, and the initial recruitment of the architects. You treat the scamming operation like a diversified portfolio. You have interests in online gambling, human trafficking, and pig butchering. You meet with other stakeholders in private clubs where the cognac costs $2,000 a bottle. You discuss expansion. The US market is getting harder because of increased awareness. So you order the architects to translate the scripts into Spanish for the Latin American market and German for the Europeans. You manage the high-level money laundering. You move the cleaned crypto into real estate developments in Cyprus and London. You have 3 different passports, none of them in your real name. You're a respected businessman on paper, a donor to local charities. You've distanced yourself so far from the taser-wielding guards and the crying ghosts that you almost believe your own lie. Level 8. The Dragonhead. You are the shadow that looms over the Mekong. You are a high-ranking member of a triad or a transnational criminal syndicate with roots in Fujian. You don't manage compounds, you manage territories. You negotiate with national governments. You are the reason these special economic zones exist. You've turned entire border regions into sovereign states of crime. Your organization generates an estimated $3 billion a year from Shaju Pan, pig butchering. This isn't a gang. It's an empire that rivals the GDP of small nations. You have the power to move thousands of people across borders like chess pieces. When one country cracks down, you move the entire operation to another, from Cambodia to Myanmar, from Myanmar to the Philippines, from the Philippines to Dubai. You are untouchable because you own the people who are supposed to hunt you. You sit in a boardroom in a skyscraper, watching the global news. Interpol announces a major crackdown and 50 low-level transporters are arrested. You smile. That's just the cost of doing business. As long as there is loneliness in the world, and as long as there is greed, your factory will never stop. You are the architect of a new kind of war, one fought with pixels and psychology instead of bullets and bombs. The end, the slaughter. You're 30 years old, a team lead who finally managed to steal a phone with an active SIM card. You thought you could make a deal. You reached out to a rescue NGO, promising them the names of the stakeholders in exchange for a way out. But you forgot one thing. The NGO has translators who are on the payroll of the warden. You're sitting in your room looking at a photo of your mother you've kept hidden for 4 years. You hear the heavy boots in the hallway. The door doesn't just open, it's kicked off the hinges. You don't see the warden, you see the boyaks, the enforcers. They don't use the taser this time. They use a length of rebar. They don't want information. They want to send a message. As they drag you toward the back gate, the part of the compound where the concrete is stained a darker shade of red, you look up at the towers. You see a new kid, maybe 18, standing where you once stood. He has a phone in his hand. He's looking for a hello. He's looking for his first pig. You realize then that the pig butchering name wasn't just for the victims. It was for all of you. They fatten you up with commissions and false hope. And when you're no longer useful, or when you get too heavy with secrets, they slaughter you too. The machine doesn't care who the meat is. The sun sets over the jungle, the satellite dishes hum with a billion fake messages, and the ledger stays in the black. This is the life inside the Southeast Asian scam machine. You climb the ranks until you become the sacrifice. Blood in, data out. And in the end, the debt is never repaid.